Hi everyone, welcome to the Robert Show. I am joined by Hemant Mohan from AWS. We are talking today about agentic AI, what is real, what is practical, and how are enterprises actually using it today. We'll also be digging into how the partnership is growing between AWS and IBM and what it means for customers building and scaling AI in production. So super excited to get into those discussions. First of all, Hemant, it's your debut, and I'm super excited to chat with you about various things, agents, agentic AI, and the big AI, IBM and AWS partnership. But just before getting into that, would you like to quickly introduce yourself? Tell us more about what you do at AWS.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Ravit. Super excited to join you. My name is Hemant Mohan. I'm a global alliance leader here at AWS. In my current role, I lead partnerships with some of our more strategic technology partners, including IBM. I
Nice.
focus on developing product partnerships and joint go-to-market strategies to benefit our mutual customers. I'm based in the San Francisco Bay Area and been with AWS for close to 6 years now.
That's amazing. Hemant, I can't wait to obviously learn about everything that you've been working on, and obviously partnerships play a very important role. So can't wait to hear what partnership it looks like with IBM. But just to start with, can you give us a little bit of perspective on the current AI landscape and how can agentic AI help businesses solve their unique challenges? What have you been hearing? Because I know a reinvent just happened, and you've met a lot of customers, a lot of partners. What are you hearing?
Yeah, no, this is great. Thanks for the question. Look, in my opinion, the AI landscape is quickly moving from experimentation with models to deploying systems that can actually take action, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if you think about the early wave of AI, it was more focused on prediction and generation of content. But the next phase is all about action. And this is where agentic AI systems come into play, right? These systems can reason, these systems can plan, execute across tools and workflows, right?
Right.
So instead of responding to, say, a single prompt, agents can understand, intent. They break down these complex tasks, call multiple systems and adapt based on outcomes. And of course, all within the context of, say, a defined guardrail. So it's
Mm.
very powerful for businesses because the shift. Because if you think about business problems, they are not single step, right? They involve fragmented data, their legacy systems, their approvals, their human decisions. And so agentic AI can orchestrate across these realities. I'll give you an example, right? If you think
Yep.
about customer support, an agent can diagnose on the issue, pull context from, say, a CRM system and a billing system, and propose a resolution, right? And escalate to a human only when it is needed. So you're looking at a world where agents are able to take proactive action for
Right.
businesses, acting almost like a digital twin for these enterprises, where you are seeing that they are acting as an assistant for these businesses, for these large enterprises to do what otherwise wouldn't have been possible. So
Yep.
ultimately, it's helping businesses get more productive, move and take AI as a productivity hack. So I'm super excited over where this is headed. Ravit.
Yeah, no, for sure. What I've been kind of hearing from, obviously the enterprises as well is something very similar, which is where our 2024, 2025 year was actually the year of experimentation. We've
Yeah.
kind of moved away from, moved ahead in the game, and it's not only just limited to experimentation, but we are kind of getting into the practical use cases. You've been kind of, seeing partners coming together. Like obviously you work closely with
Yeah.
IBM and AWS kind of coming together and helping us get to the next level. But we're seeing real use cases kind of come into the game. And talking about partners, I'm kind of also curious to learn about, if you can share a little bit about the benefits of the partnership that you all have with IBM, or to help your mutual customers, and also deploy and scale agentic
Mm.
AI into the enterprises, because that is something which is very interesting for us from the outside, where both of like IBM and AWS both work with larger enterprises out there. So how is
Yeah.
it where you all are catering to these enterprises? And if you have any use cases, any stories that you would like to share,
Yeah.
would love to know more.
No, thanks for the question, Rohit. Of course, I'll just take the agentic AI lens from the context of the partnership, right?
Yep.
Look,
Yep.
fundamentally, the partnership between IBM and AWS is all about helping enterprises move agentic AI from promise to production, right? I'm just building up exactly what you said, and I completely align with you that enterprises have been, dabbling with AI in an experimentation mode. Now, it's the time when rubber meets the road, right? It's time to move
Yes.
these from experimentation to production. So interest, we see that enterprises, they have a high interest in, moving agents to production, but there is a common challenge. It's that scaling these agents in a more secure, reliable, and compliant way is hard, right? And that's
True.
where this partnership is creating value. So our agentic partnership really kicked into high gear earlier this year when IBM became
Nice.
a launch partner for the AWS Marketplace AI and tools category, right? That milestone reflected almost a shared recognition that our customers want choice, they want flexibility on how they build agents, but also need enterprise grade controls, right? Once these agents start interacting with live systems and data and users, you want some level of auditability and control. And that's what enterprises need. So,
Yep.
from the AWS perspective, we bring the infrastructure, the foundation, enterprises trust to build at scale. And
Yep.
then, it's secure, it's elastic, it's global, it's reliable. Those are all the components, to this recipe that we bring to the table. So
Mm.
it takes the heavy lift away from our customers to kind of think about how am I going to scale AI? How am I going to quickly iterate? How am I going to innovate quickly?
Yes.
And then IBM complements this by bringing what enterprises consistently ask for next, right? Which is governance, compliance, right? Deep integration into existing systems, orchestration, right?
Yes.
And doing all of this within the confines of some defined guardrails. So I feel like together this partnership closes a critical gap where customers can develop agents natively on AWS, leveraging the scale and the performance, and then start deploying those agents with IBM's enterprise grade orchestration and management and risk management capabilities. So it's we are basically developing a clear path for our customers to take agents from experimentation to production and offer that operational trust that they ask for.
I love it. From operational to obviously the production, it is something which is very important for the enterprises to feel confident. And also, this partnership looks very strong. I also wanted to obviously touch base on something which was announced at AWS reInvent, and IBM announcement. Discussed about the integration of IBM Watsonx Orchestrate and Amazon Bedrock Agent Core. Can you tell us a little bit about how that helps the clients? I know this is very specific, but I'm kind of curious because that was kind of also making headline or at AWS reInvent. So kind of curious to know more about
Yeah.
it.
No, I'm super excited about the announcement, Ravit. The teams worked super hard, to make the announcement at reInvent. Look, the
Yes.
integration of Watson Orchestrate with Amazon Bedrock Agent Core or Agent Core is important because enterprises are hitting that real inflection point with
Mm-hmm.
Agent AI,
Mm-hmm.
right? So enterprises can build impressive agents, right? But again, the struggle is how do I run those agents reliably, securely, and at scale across real business systems, right? We are not talking about experimentation anymore.
Yep.
So, this integration is designed to solve that problem. And again, we are, using this analogy of the better together, which is can we combine IBM's, top orchestration and domain expertise with AWS's production grade AI infrastructure, right? So if you think about this at the foundational level, Amazon Bedrock Agent Core, it offers a fully managed enterprise-ready runtime for AI agents, right? It's
Yes.
purpose-built for production, and it supports secure execution, it supports identity, it supports memory, governance, monitoring. These are the different aspects of the service, right? So that
Yep.
gives enterprises confidence that agents can operate and safely, consistently, especially in regulated and mission critical environments, right?
Mm-hmm.
IBM Watson X Orchestrate adds on top is the ability to coordinate and govern and integrate these agents across complex workflows. Right. So you
Very
now have
important.
a system of platform that gives you the building blocks of running agents securely at scale in production. And then the actual, agent development and the fact that agents can orchestrate and talk to each other is what Orchestrate brings to the table. So together, these two platforms are creating a complete agentic AI stack, right? Customers can build
Mm-hmm.
agents using foundation models available through Amazon Bedrock and Amazon Bedrock Agent Core, deploy them into Agent Core. Then using Agent Core's, memory and observability modules, these agents now have context, in-memory context. So they know,
Oh, nice.
they're personalized. They know exactly the actions that they are performing because they have in-memory context. If these agents are taking some kind of action through Amazon Bedrock Agent Core, you have full auditability of what this agent did, right? Because these logs are now kind of flowing back into CloudWatch. And so if I'm an admin and I want to see, hey, if the Watson Orchestrate agent took an action, what was that action? I have that full auditability through Amazon Bedrock Agent Core. So, again, we are just helping customers take the guesswork away, take their agents to production, utilizing, the scale of Amazon Bedrock Agent Core and the ease of
Yep.
use that Watson Orchestrate offers today to build agents that are enterprise grade ready.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love these insights, Hemant. And you mentioned a very important point, which is where enterprises and these leaders that we talk to as well, what we feel is like they are very much into now agents as well. They want to, obviously have agents being deployed into their systems. But one thing that they care about is when agents are talking to agents, they want to be confident that it has like particular guardrails in place. It is obviously managed very well, and it has that powerful system in place which can make sure where they've been not leaking any data,
Yeah.
or they've been
Yeah.
not giving access to anyone who shouldn't be getting that access to those kind of data. So I think that is where IBM Watson X Orchestrate and Amazon Bedrock Agent Core kind of plays a very important role, and changing the game there. I also have a curious question, and just staying on this topic itself, how does IBM Bob, because that was also another
Yeah.
interesting thing I wanted to touch base on, which is how does IBM Bob, IBM's new Agentic ID available on AWS, change how businesses approach their individual software modernization journeys,
Yeah.
and how is it helping the larger community as well? Kind of curious to know your thoughts, Eamon.
Yeah, no, super exciting announcement at reInvent, Ravit, on Project Bob. Uh,
Yeah.
here's what's going on. Look, today businesses are struggling when it comes to modernizing software, right? This is
Mm-hmm,
an
mm-hmm.
age-old problem, and I don't think it's getting any better. You'll be surprised to know that almost 60 to 70% of any dev budget today, enterprises are spending on, either refactoring existing code or upgrading, like, the old version of Java into new version of Java, right?
It's crazy. Yeah.
And, so what that does is that it takes time away from creating something net new, right? And a lot of times we find that the tooling it is actually not as effective. So you spend 60 to 70% of your budget on modernization projects, but they are not really returning any value, right? Now agent AI tools, yeah, ubiquitous, yeah, they're everywhere, but they're costly, right? So any
True.
investment you're making in modernization, you got to have a clear path for return on investment. We are seeing that that's not really the case. What
Right.
also happens during these modernization projects is that when you use automated tooling to refactor code or modernize code, you are opening that code up for security vulnerabilities, right? Because there's something that's happening automatically. You are hoping that my code is secure, but we find that there are gaps. Now, to fix those security
Mm.
gaps, you may be spending like 10x more than what you spend on modernizing your software, right?
Yeah.
And then finally, I think the third pillar of this problem is that there is an actual shortage of skills. I don't know, but in my experience, it's hard to find COBOL developers now. So there is this real
True.
issue that I have all this legacy code, I have all this technical debt, and I want to modernize it, and I want to modernize it in a way that I'm getting return on investment on my projects, and it is accurate, and it is without any security flaws. And I think that's where Project Bob shines, in that
Yep.
it is designed by developers for developers. I had the privilege of meeting with one of the actually the creator of Project Bob, Neil, at
Yep.
reInvent. We had this conversation around Bob. What's fascinating about Bob is that it is not just converting one piece of code to the other or upgrading the code. It is looking at the problem holistically, and then it is
Okay.
using agentic systems to break down that problem, create workflows, create orchestrations, and look at how am I going to take something that's archaic into the modernized world, right? It also comes in built with SemGraph, so it is looking at security flaws and fixing them proactively. And then finally, I think, which is very popular about, which is very powerful about Bob, is that it decides what LLMs to use when it is
Hmm.
solving those problems, right? So it
Very
is
important.
taking the guesswork away. That, hey, should I be using Anthropic? Should I be using something else? Bob knows that, hey, for this specific task, I believe this is the right LLM to pick and choose, and so that it's
Nice.
kind of focusing on improving your return on investment, right? In the modernization project that you are running. So feel like super powerful, very exciting. It runs on
Yeah.
AWS. It's utilizing Anthropic models that are running on Bedrock today. I'm excited to see how developers partner with Project Bob going forward for their modernization projects.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love how, obviously AWS and IBM comes together and creates this power for the enterprises out there, for the developers out there, to make sure that their work kind of eases up. And I'm also kind of clearly seeing IBM, obviously continues to expand its partnership with AWS around not only just AI, but other parts as well. Whether through integrated offerings, AWS marketplace solutions, and also I think the AWS specific competencies and certification for
Yeah.
its consultants. So that is something which is again powerful, that you all are upskilling themselves to see more and more of the power together, and how they can utilize more and more features or products that you all are launching together. I'm kind of also curious to learn from you, what opportunities do you see for the partnership moving forward? What's next? Because I know in the world where we are living, things kind of move very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, what's next around the partnership? Kind of wanting to learn more.
Such an exciting time to be involved in this partnership, Ravit. Given exactly what you're saying, the rate of innovation is so high that every
Yep.
day, you have a new opportunity to serve our joint customers. Look, I look at this, our opportunity across three broad vectors. One is around infrastructure, right? Because that's where
Nice.
AWS shines. We want to make sure that all the goodness of price performance benefits, right, of running workloads on AWS Silicon are in fact passed on to our end customers, right? So we want to make sure that any IBM property that's running on AWS today is utilizing the best in class infrastructure that AWS has to offer today, because we
Nice.
believe that our customers will benefit from those price performance improvements, right? So we continuously thinking about, hey, is there an opportunity to run something on Graviton? Is there an opportunity to run something on Trainium, Inferentia, so on and so forth? That continues to be the focus from an infrastructure standpoint. Then second, when I think about the application layer, how do we make sure that IBM offerings running on AWS are natively integrated, like with AWS offerings, right? They are the
Mm-hmm.
most purpose built for AWS. I'll give you an example. Last year, we announced the integration between Amazon SageMaker and Governance. Amazon SageMaker, as you know, is where our builders go and train new models.
Yes.
Governance is probably one of the best in class, AI governance platform. And
Yes.
so the idea is that, hey, if today you are an Amazon SageMaker customer and you are training models, and you need to
Right.
ensure that those models actually comply with your enterprise policies, you have the right tooling to do so. And that's where Governance comes into play, right? So again, now we are thinking about our joint product strategy, taking the lens of what an AWS builder need in order to do what
Yep.
they're trying to do, right, successfully. Another example is like DB2 RDS, right? So if you are running IBM DB2, you want to run it in the cloud and you want it to be run, fully managed for you. you can run IBM DB2 workloads on RDS, right? So again, we are taking the goodness of DB2 as a commercial engine and making sure that customers have the ability to run that in a serverless manner on AWS cloud through RDS, right? So we continue to think about where does it make sense for us to come together in the service of our joint customers and ensure that AWS, IBM products are purpose built or are in fact integrated deeply with our AWS native services. And then the third piece of this is commercial delivery, right? There's a lot of innovation
Right.
happening between the two companies. We are launching new software, we are launching new solutions, and we have a global client base, right? A global customer base. We want to reach
Obviously.
every customer, and we want to make sure that it's the process of procuring these solutions is most frictionless as possible, right? And that's where AWS Marketplace shines. We believe that that's the way for our customers to quickly kind of go into experimentation mode. So that's through free trials.
Yep. Yep.
They have an easy contractual mechanism. They are able to work with the business partners in those local regions to procure these technologies in the most
Yep.
frictionless way. And so I think we'll continue to work together to ensure that that commercial delivery model is easy, it's fast, and it kind of
Nice.
takes the pain away of procuring the technology, and the focus kind of shifts to how do I realize time to value faster. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love these three pillars that you kind of mentioned. Now I kind of realize between we kind of always see partnerships, and then we realize that now after talking to you, I kind of feel that there's so much behind a partnership, but there's also so much opportunity and so much for the enterprises out there that they can make the most of it when they kind of obviously are on AWS and obviously been using IBM together. So it's a game changer. Hemant, obviously, I've enjoyed this conversation and I've learned a lot about the partnership that AWS and IBM has. One last question that I have, I promise, is around if people want to reach out to you, learn more about, obviously the partnership with IBM, where can they do that? I think for you, it could be LinkedIn X, which is the best place they can reach out, and also to learn about the partnership, where can they read more and just stay tuned with all
Yeah,
the.
great question, Navid. Thanks for that. Yeah, definitely. I'm available on LinkedIn. Happy to
Okay,
connect.
nice.
Answer any questions folks may have about the partnership. We have public-facing resources. We have a dedicated web
Nice.
page that's focused on our partnership, and that's a great place to get started. And the third is the AWS Marketplace. If customers or partners are looking at all that we are doing together, just go to the AWS Marketplace, search IBM, and then you'll see all the listings. Yeah, and that's a great place to get started.
Amazing. This is great, Hemant. I've had a blast talking to you. I can't wait to do a 2.0 session, learn more about, how you kind of, obviously partner more in depth with IBM, and obviously we'll stay updated with all the, newer announcements that AWS and IBM has. But thanks for doing this conversation, and also thanks to our audience for joining us. Feel free to reach out to Hemant on LinkedIn, and I'll obviously make sure to share the blog link below so you all can go and check out the partnership between IBM and AWS, and stay tuned with all the innovations that they kind of do. But once again, Hemant, thanks for doing this and thanks for taking the time out.
No, thanks for having me, Ravid. It's brilliant.
Aw-
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today.